This is Legends of the Game, where the legends of yesterday inspire the heroes of tomorrow. Presented by Chase Toys, 417 Thorndike Road in Unity.
Like many towns in Maine, Skowhegan loves its high school sports. Friday night football in Skowhegan is, after all, almost a religious experience. And he was always there, sometimes whipping the crowd into a frenzy or maybe ripping into a player. On the high school baseball diamond, you'd see him there in the third base coach's box, windmilling a base runner into the plate. Or maybe he was just at a game, a boys or girls basketball game in the winter, watching, encouraging, and cheering his beloved Skowhegan High School. Or maybe you just ran into him at the dealership, Height Chevy, where he met you with a hello and a hearty handshake. Or perhaps you saw him at one of his favorite haunts in Skowhegan, Al's Pizza, flipping for lunch and glad-handing everyone who came in because, well, they all knew well. Al Wilson was not only Skowhegan sports, Al Wilson was simply Skowhegan. On this episode of Legends of the Game, the legacy and the legend, and what a fun, entertaining, and inspirational one it is, of Al Wilson.
Mike LeBlanc is the girls varsity basketball coach. You're the varsity baseball coach. You're an alum of Skowhegan High School, and you first ran into Al Wilson your freshman year of high school?
Correct.
All right, give us some background. First time you saw Willie, you thought?
Well, the first time I actually watched him in action, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting and fun time. Willie always did things his way. If he wanted to do something, he did it. But you always knew that if you needed something, he would be there for you. He was a wonderful man and a great coach. He loved every kid. He was strict. He made you follow the rules, but you respected him and loved him, and you wanted to win for him.
Chad Partridge is with me from Al's Pizza here in Skowhegan. Chad, thanks for sitting down with us to talk about Al Wilson.
Yes.
Al's is not named after Al, right?
No, it's not.
But Al left a legacy at Al's Pizza, which, as we sit here in Skowhegan High School, what, a mile down the road there?
That's right, yes. Yeah,
right on the edge of 201s. But Al left his mark with you guys, because Al was in Al's Pizza every day.
So every time Al came in, every time he walked into a room, you knew Al was there, right? So he'd light it right up. But he'd come up to the counter with his to pick up his order, and he'd reach into his pocket, real deep in there, he'd find his lucky coin. And my father would grab one out of the cash drawer, a quarter, and they'd both flip it up in the air, catch it on top of their hands, and they would know whose turn it was to call it, but one of them would call it. Either going to match each other or they weren't. And so whoever won, they'd reveal at the same time, and whoever won, if Al won, he got his meal for free.
Okay.
If my father won, Al would pay double.
Al paid double.
That's right. Always remember him for that, as well as, just the way he could interact with people and treat people and make people feel so special and unique. He was one of a kind.
Al Wilson affected a lot of players, a lot of kids, hundreds, thousands of kids over his time at Skowhegan High School. 2 kids that played for him with me right now. Noah McMahon is over here. Will Stinson is over here. Will, you played for him first because you're older, graduated in 16. Give us a sense of the Al Wilson experience and what you thought of the first time you ran into Willie.
My first really run into him was football. I had buddies who played football in middle school specifically. My first thought was, who the heck is this guy? Because, his energy was just crazy.
Yeah.
So I really started playing for him my sophomore year, Legion. I broke my arm, but he kept me around the team. So getting to sit on the bench, like a lot of older guys, I was backup catcher that year. Really kind of getting to know him just sitting around the dugout. He was a guy you could always observe because he always had something to say.
My first come across with Willie was my freshman year of baseball. I swung varsity and JV, so yep. I was around varsity team. As time went on, I got to know him really well, and as my sophomore year come, me and him became really close, and he always brought a good energy that most of the team needed.
What did you learn from Al about baseball?
Mostly it's not just baseball that he taught me. In baseball he taught me that just kind of enjoying the game, and he was a big guy of he really wanted to play as a team, and he would really want you to kind of have a good attitude because he knows it can affect more than just one guy on the team.
Right. I'm sure every player that ever played for him wanted to run through a wall. You would, whatever
wouldn't question it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't question it. If he said the jump, you're asking how far.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was just the kind of coach he was, the kind of man he was. And that's even just more than sports. Like I said, just, playing a couple of years of softball with him, it was always, it was more than just a game.
Yeah.
Game at the end of the day was kind of over, and then we're going to go have fun, and no matter what, we're still going to be friends.
That's what we've heard. It was a family.
It was a family.
Together.
It was a family, absolutely.
At Toro, we know shortcuts don't cut it. Our iron-forged cutting system is the bedrock of machines that get the job done right, season after season. We use thick, heavy steel. More rigid means less flex, so the deck stays precisely on its mark, producing an unmatched, even and clean cut that only comes from a Toro.
Get your Toro zero-turn at Chase Toys, 417 Thorndike Road in Unity.
Look at this crew that I've got right here to talk about Al Wilson. 3 guys who all go back a long way with Al Wilson. Rick York, over here Brad Sear, Peter Kirby, all of these guys have had an incredible connection to Willie. Let's start with you, Coach.
I think my first encounter with Willie was in 2006, the fall, when I started coaching football here. Mm-hmm. He come over just leading the pep band. He was just crazy, riling guys up.
Rick York, when did you encounter Willie first?
Well, it was fall of 1985 when I walked in this building. And
freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school. And I knew Willie a little bit. That man made me the catcher I was.
Yeah, because you were a good catcher.
I was tough. And nothing would get by me. And it was because of him.
Yeah.
And fast forward, all through my playing years, he was always there for me. He'd call me up. If I was struggling, I'd call him up. And he'd always, in his polite way, not so much, but he'd always tell me, suck it up.
Yeah.
Hey, what the hell? Suck it up. Work harder. You want to get better, work harder. That's the way he was with me, and that's the way he was with all the players that, we coached together. And the years I coached with him at the varsity level was just one of the best years of my life. We'd have so much fun, but when it come to be serious, it was serious. I trusted him, and I would have ran through a wall for that guy.
Right.
I probably would have died for that guy. See, back in the 80s, if you can see that, we had a motto, and it was Willie Ball and the legendary Don Finley that I played with. We had Willie Ball and Finn Ball.
So there was a difference?
Oh, there was a big difference.
Okay.
Finn Ball was you get a guy on first base, you wait for the next guy to hit one out, or hit a gap, and they score.
Okay.
Willie Ball was you get a guy on first base, you steal, you bunt him over, either you suicide squeeze or you do something that was small ball.
Okay.
Those 2 guys would fight and fight and fight. So I can't remember which teammate of mine made this up. And we laughed and we'd carry this around. And I've carried this around since 1986 or 1987. I carried this around.
Yeah. To think of I think thousands of kids, Coach, that he impacted is incredible in his role as working here as a custodian, as a coach, as a mentor. It's amazing the impact.
Yeah, he for the last 45 years in some capacity, whether it was directly, indirectly, he was coaching.
Yeah.
Right, he was involved with the programs. I never got to play for Al, but he coached me as a coach.
Yeah.
Right, and I think the biggest lesson that all of us can take, the most important thing to do is care about the people, care about the kids. Make sure that they know that you've got their back and that you're there for them no matter what. And Willie was that for all of us. And I'll miss the laughs, I'll miss the advice, I'll just miss him lighting up a room. That's what he did, and he was the master motivator. He knew what buttons to push when. I just told the baseball kids, I heard you guys ask those guys about Willie's legacy, and I think we are his legacy. Those kids are his legacy.
Yeah. That's well put.
We are his family. And if I can just do a quarter of what he did, right, and affect kids positively at least that much, I think we're doing good.
Jim Smith has been called the first mate the first mate of the USS Al Wilson.
Yep, Al was my roommate. We roomed together. I was the first base coach. He was the third base coach. And there wasn't a move that wasn't made without us talking. What I loved about it was he was very family. He allowed us to be in his family. He was fun to be around. He fought tooth and nail for us on the field. And I learned through him, I don't think he had a wall. Everything you got from him was the real thing.
Yeah.
He lived life to the fullest. He wanted to be a winner. He gave everything he had. And he made it happen.
Presented by Chase Toys, 417 Thorndike Road in Unity.